Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. It is that time of the week once again where we look forward to the weekend's action of Super Rugby. It is round number 8 and we have 7 amazing matches that will be coming your way this weekend. That means that there's 4 teams once again having a bye, and those 4 teams are the Chiefs, the Force, the Highlanders and the Kings. Now we know the Kings always need a bye to try and regroup and plan their thoughts. The Chiefs, I think they're in desperate need of a rest, as are the Highlanders after losing to the Reds in round 7. A massive boil-over upset, that one. The Force will look good this season and they'll be, well, happy to have a bit of a break and refocus ahead of round 9 next weekend. So 7 matches is what we have. This is the series, of course, if you're new to the channel, where we have a look at the matches for the upcoming round of Super Rugby. I give my thoughts and reasons why I think a team is going to win or lose, of course, give a score prediction, and we head forward after the weekend and have a review of the action from the round just taking place. So let's kick things off here and look at our first match of the weekend, which is in New Zealand, in Canterbury, in Christchurch. It is the Crusaders up against the Jaguars. That one is the first match of the weekend. I think the Crusaders continuously seem to be the lucky team that just escapes time and time again. When they're on the road, when they're at home, they seem to just do enough, especially on their road trip, especially that matches in South Africa and then the Force last weekend as well. That is really amazing how they could come away with that, with 3 wins on the road. That is so crucial to a season. If they can keep that up, they could really be a front runner going into the end of the season. They are finally back at home now, and how long, you must wonder, will their luck continue? Will they have enough here against the Jaguars? I think the Crusaders are one of the best closing sides of the competition. If they're in the lead or they're within striking distance, they always seem to have that ability to put those final points on and hold out their lead very well as they close the match out. The Jaguars, they need their big players back. The likes of Creevy, Tukulet, Kudera on that. They need those finishers. They need those leaders. And interestingly enough, they have made 9 changes for this match against the Crusaders. I think the Jaguars, although it's amazing and great and exciting to see them use their backline, they need to focus on the forwards and win the battle there first before they look to their backline. One could say they've been just a bit hasty to go out to the flashy men in the big numbers. That's their strength though, is the forward pack, and that's where they need to really put the pressure on. And if they dominate up front, an area that the Crusaders are historically noted for really putting their game from that core start, they could really put the pressure on the Crusaders, and I could see them under immense strain and possibly fall apart. Who knows what the Crusaders' reaction with that will be. Hopefully we can see that from the Jaguars this weekend. My final score on this one is 19-12. The home team, the Crusaders, getting the win over the Jaguars. It's just annoying. The Jaguars and all those new sides they just don't seem to take a game right from the start. And we've seen a new stat come out over the last week as well. I'm not 100% sure on the exact numbers, but I'm pretty sure I saw 18 games played by the 3 new sides in Super Rugby this year, and only 2 wins. I know that much is true. Only 2 wins from the opening 7 rounds that these 3 teams have played in, and that, simply put, is not good enough. On to our second match of the weekend. It is the Rebels at home up against the Hurricanes, and this has potential to be a fairly good match as well. The Rebels are a team getting results, and really if you take them too lightly, it will be at your peril as well. You got to look at where they are. Second in Australia, they're willing to attack, they're fresh off the bye, and they could prove to be troublesome for any team in the competitions. I thought the Hurricanes played quite well against the Jaguars as well, but they still showed that there's a lot of weaknesses and areas you can attack throughout their team. Their key players for the Hurricanes run the game, and they use those same players week in, week out, and they always seem to have enough space, have enough time, have enough room to to do what they need to do. I think if the Rebels are going to get anything from this game, they need to target those key players. I mean, the likes of Bowden Barrett especially is a big one for them. They always use Savia. Of course, he's a threat no matter what colour jersey you put on his back. But, I mean, Perenara as well. Another one, it's just that base, that 9-10 combination and the dangerous finishes out wide. Another thing with the Hurricanes I think is very strong is their bench. That is another part of the bow that you think you're getting rid of a player who's caused you havoc over the last 60 minutes or so, and then they bring on someone else that just continues to assert the pain. I think this could be a good chance for the Hurricanes to show that they possibly are a decent side, a front runner possibly for the competition as well. If they can clean up those leaky holes, they could find themselves quite easily in the playoffs come the end of the season. Are they good enough from there on in? Too early to tell. But for this match, I've got them coming out on top over the Rebels, 32 points to 16. A big win for the Hurricanes. Bonus point possibly even will go nicely as they travel over to Amy Park. Matchup number 3, and we're off to South Africa Free State Stadium in Bloemfontein, where we will see the Cheetahs up against the Sunwolves. And again, we go back to the stat that the new sides have only won 2 of their matches in the opening 7 rounds, and the Sunwolves, you can isolate them even further and say they haven't even won 1 match so far. That's how bad it's looking for the Sunwolves right now. They needed to beat the Kings a couple of weeks ago. That was a big turning point for them. They struggled to do it, and now it really looks like a tough battle for them. Last time we seen this matchup, those Sunwolves versus Cheetahs, it was the Cheetahs who pipped the Sunwolves as they blew a massive lead as well to lose by 1 point. The question I pose to this matchup is, who has grown more over the last few rounds? Who has developed? Who has seemed to have learned and become the better team over recent weeks? And I think there's no real competition there whatsoever. The Cheetahs, although inconsistently how good they look, they are a lot better team than the Sunwolves, and they seem to have becoming quite good in their continuity within their team. That's really building their consistency as well, and I think they could be quite a dangerous side as this competition wears on. They're only going to get better and better. For the Sunwolves, you know, I really want to see the Sunwolves win, but they've had so many chances now. They've blown them all, and it's looking really, really hard for them to get something. I mean, the Cheetahs are at home. If it was a home game for the Sunwolves, you'd give them that 50% chance, possibly, maybe not even that much to win. But for this, I cannot see the Sunwolves touching the Cheetahs, and I think we're going to have a thumping on our hands. 42-25 Cheetahs over the Sunwolves. It hurts me to say it, I really want to see the Sunwolves win, but it just does not look good for them at the moment. Right, we move ourselves into Saturday, and we're back to Eden Park, where the Blues are up against the Sharks. Now, the road trip for the Sharks is off to what could be a bumpy start against the worst placed New Zealand side, but it's still going to be a very tough ask to come to Eden Park, a place where the Blues traditionally perform very, very well. Despite how their season's going, they're always tough at Eden Park. I mean, there's a travel issue for the Sharks, a team that, again, historically don't travel very well, but adding on to that is the lack of attack that the Sharks team seems to possess. I mean, they've got the talent. Don't even put that up as an argument. The Sharks team is absolutely flowing with attacking ability, but they just can't put the points on the board in the way of tries, and it's hurt them. It has really hurt them. I mean, you look at their recent matches all the way back to their game against the Crusaders, where they only scored off Crusaders' mistakes, and even on from there, where they didn't even score any tries recently as well. It just adds to the thing that you just need to score tries to beat any team in this competition. The Blues, to their credit, have an X-Factor game as well, and they have players who can smash a game to pieces. Look at last week, Milani Nanai. He is becoming a really big X-Factor player, and I think that part of the Blues game, the likes of Rennie Ranger, who can carve a game to shreds, the Ioanis, and players like that have the ability to just do the unthinkable from a seemingly nothing chance will make the Sharks stay in their shell a bit more than even they have been recently. They won't want to concede to these freakish tries, and they'll be hesitant to really risk anything whatsoever. And that is going to be detrimental towards the Sharks side. I've got the Blues taking this one out by 13 points, 25-12 over the Sharks. I mean, it's just going to, for me, it's just going to come down to the Sharks not willing to attack. The Blues having a couple of really lucky breaks that'll easily cart them to the final whistle. Which is a shame. The Sharks are such a good team. We just haven't seen the best of them just yet. Make our way over to Australia, where the Waratahs are up against the Brumbies. Now, the Waratahs are a team that's in a bit of strife right now. They're really in a bit of strife. The performances recently in the last 2 rounds, of course, before the bye that they had last week, were very subpar. Not only for the Waratahs standard, but just Super Rugby standard. They've seemed to just lost their way, and there's been quite a lot of talk about what is going wrong with this Waratahs team. They're back from the bye. They're back at home, which is big for them as well. But you can't argue with form. And the form says that the Brumbies are in a lot better touch than the Waratahs. There will be no Pocock, though, which will be a massive loss for the Brumbies. And this, to me, is the turning point of the season. More so for the Waratahs, but also for the Brumbies. If they don't get up and win this one, their season doesn't look as good as it did a few weeks ago. The Waratahs, their season's already going down a slippery slope. Another loss here. Wow, how bad would that be? I mean, the Rebels are in action against the Hurricanes. Possibly they could get a point out of that, which will bury the Waratahs even more. The Australian Conference, its lack of really good sides is making it quite interesting, because we've got quite a lot of battlers in that division. I mean, the Brumbies at the moment look absolute piles in front, but we've got the Waratahs who have seemed to put themselves down in the group with the Rebels and the Force, who have looked improved. But now we've got the Reds, who all of a sudden have started to learn how to play, and it's really game on in Australia if anyone wants to pick up another qualifying spot out of the Australasian Conference as well, or Australasian Group I should call it. So that's going to be really interesting. I've got the Brumbies coming out on top of this one, though, 29-19 over the Waratahs. Now we make our way over Lotus first found in Pretoria, where the Bulls will be up against the team we just talked about, the Reds, who are looking very, very resurgent, and they're on the road trip. Now this is going to be a real telling of what this Reds team is made from. At home, we've seen a couple of really good performances from them, obviously against the Highlanders, but also against the Waratahs. They played very well also, but the Bulls, they're at home. Home advantage, and let's be completely fair, they are one of the best South African sides going around at the moment. Of course, the two sides in the final match of this weekend's action will have a lot to say about that against the Bulls as well. But the Reds have shown that they're a gutsy team. They have determination, and they're never going to let a game just float away like they did early in the season. They just didn't seem to have their heart in it whatsoever. Changed the coach, and look at the magical difference that we've seen from the Reds. They're a threat, I think, to the Bulls, but all the things that count against them, the travel, the road trip, the Bulls being at home, being at Loftus as well, I think it's going to count against the Reds. Are we going to see them back to where they went? I don't think so. I really hope not. It was great to see the Reds actually lift and actually give a shit, to be completely frank, about their team. Like, we didn't see any real passion, any real desire from the Reds in the early rounds, but now they actually do seem to care, and it shows in the way they play. They're off to Loftus. It's a really tough ask. It's an extremely tough ask for anyone to go to Loftus and beat the Bulls, but I just don't think the Reds can do it. They'll put in a valiant display, but I think the Bulls will run away with this one, 35-9 over the Reds. Final match over the weekend, and we are away to Johannesburg for our final matchup. It is the Lions up against the Stormers. This one, hands down, no question whatsoever, match of the weekend. There we go. It had to be said. I mean, these two sides are just ridiculously good, and I can't really pick a winner. I thought about this one for a long time. I mean, the Lions are really a good team. Well, we've seen it last year. They're a side that can win games, but, you know, now they're really actually becoming a team that other side's fair coming up against. I mean, the Lions have really come a long way, and I have no question whatsoever that they're going to give the Stormers absolute bananas here. They're going to throw everything, including the garage sink. That's not even the kitchen. We're going outside now to the garage sink, and they're going to throw that at them as well. And the Stormers, I mean, they're one of the best sides in their conference as well. Interestingly enough, as I go on here, both of these sides are actually conference leaders from, the South Africa 1 and Africa 2 conferences. They are both top, but it is the Lions who have a couple of losses. The Stormers just one loss. They are really one of the top sides in this competition. I think this match is really worth getting up for at 5 a.m. In New Zealand here. It's going to be a stunner. I really hope both teams come out with the intent to attack, and it could be one of the games of the tournament so far. I got to pick a winner though. I really have to decide one way or another. I could pick a draw, but the chances of that are pretty grim. And now if that happens, I'm going to look like an absolute dick because I've said that, but I'm still going to go with the Stormers. I know, Lions fans, I know. Your team has played fantastic, really good rugby. I enjoy watching the Lions, but I just have this thing with the Stormers. They're just one of the best sides in this tournament. And South Africa, before the Super Rugby started, I thought they looked weak. I'll be completely honest. But they have been so strong. We've seen the Cheetahs, the Lions, the Bulls, the Stormers, all attacking, all with the flair. The Stormers' defence is also amazing. And then we see the Sharks, a team that doesn't really attack, but still somehow wins a whole lot of matches as well. It's just amazing that the teams can perform this well and actually have some good success throughout the whole group of sides and not just one or two leading the way. It is great to see, and I think South African rugby looks really, really strong in 2016. But it's another discussion for another day. We're not talking about international sides here. It's Super Rugby, and that is the weekend wrapped up, done and dusted for round number 8. I hope you've all enjoyed this little look and preview into the weekend's action. I'll be back again early next week as well. I have a lot coming up on the channel over the next few days, this weekend and next week as well. So if you enjoy rugby, if you love rugby, stay around, stay tuned, and enjoy everything coming your way. Let me know your thoughts and what you think about everything. And yeah, it's great having everyone along. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you all next time for the review of round 8. Until then, take care.